Alright guys, today I'm going to show you how to make hip-hop just like Just Blaze. We're going to reference the song Somehow Some Way by Jay-Z. So it's by Jermaine Jackson, but let me show you guys what I created so far. Alright, so the original sample, I had to solve a lot of problems during this sample. One was timing, surprisingly about the sample's timing. But here's the original. So it goes doom, doom, woo, and then it goes in. So it's no like metronome start. So that already, it threw me off of there. And you would think that the beat goes do 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 do, but it actually starts on these like bubbly sounds, like this sound here. So Just Blaze must have chopped somewhere in the bubble area because it was so hard to measure where the sample actually starts, where the bar starts, that he just had to chop somewhere in the bubbles. That's my guess, because the starting point is like impossible to find. And then after that point, once the drums come in, you can measure the bars. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and it's a lot of Tracy. Oh, we teach that pattern a lot in our drum patterns videos. So if you notice, the drums are matching that dun, 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 that Tracio. Also, Just Blaze used a lot of cymbals, which I love. And they didn't do tss, tss, tss. It's just tss, tss. It's a mute. So they're just following the sample. Let's listen to the sample. So do 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 do. So listen to the bass. Okay, and only at the end do the kicks not match the actual sample. So a lot of the ideas for the drums are coming from the sample. So the first lesson for today is match your kicks with the bass of the sample if you can. For this pattern, it was a little more predictable. It's called Trecio, so it's like doom, doom, doom. So it's easy to follow, but you know, for different samples, you're gonna get different vibes. But now the next thing I had to do with this sample is pitch it up. So the next secret here is that instead of playing it at this tone, okay, that's the downbeat. Let's grab the slice tool, hit Shift Alt, do a vertical slice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, and slice. Okay, so slice in 2-bar increments is what I would recommend. Let's go to the top left, make this unique as a sample, double click. We're gonna go to mode, stretch mode, and pull this pitch up to 500 cents, and that creates that Just Blaze like sound. That's also a Kanye style. So they were known to use ASR 10s, MPCs. You know, this could have been done on an ASR 10. I don't know the exact drum machine they used for this record, but I ran my drums through. This plugin's coming out. It's not officially out, but if you guys load up different, what are called NAMM profiles, you can load up different drum machines. So, you know, I think I did the ASR 10 on this mode here, if I'm not mistaken. And basically it takes your drums and it just adds a texture to it. You could also try running all your sounds through it, like your entire mix through that, just to add that final like sonic of an old machine. It's hard for me to explain NAMM profiles right now, but it's machine learning trained on outboard gear. And then this part here was kind of hard to hear. I forget where that was in the sample. I made so many chops, but it was like somewhere in the middle of the song. I had to chop that ending. So you know that Just Blaze went through the song. He found not only the melodic start point, but he found endings to stuff. And here's another lesson you guys could take from Just Blaze is when you guys are sampling, try to resolve your melody. Like right here, most people would just loop this and think they're done. Which is nothing wrong with that, but musically our ear wants to resolve most of the time. So that's the beginning of a phrase, and the ending of a phrase needs to be chopped from the sample too. So if you find an idea in the sample, I'm not giving you hard rules, but if you guys find, you know, the beginning of a sample, the beginning of a motif in your sample, try to add another motif that complements that first motif so that you could create arrangements. Whereas most people just chop one thing and they copy and paste, and they're like, why does my beat sound repetitive? Because you're using the same thing over and over. All right, so here I had to do some crossfading to make those bubbles less, like, because there was no BPM, I just had to kind of make them merged. So I used crossfades to kind of blend that. And here's a technique they used back in the day. Because they didn't have stem separation, we're gonna add a low pass filter here to muffle out the majority of the sounds. Now the difference between the sounds we get today and the sounds back then when people are sampling, they didn't cut out a lot of the instruments when they were sampling. So if you listen to this bass, it's more than the bass. It's and then also you hear the drums. You hear the vocals. So a lot of the bass lines from the 90s, the reason they had that vibe is because they weren't just soloing the bass. They were just taking the low frequencies of everything and blending that back in with the sample. So here, you don't have to do it this way, but you could also mute the original just to have like background music. Or we could add the sample on top. Now this sample, I ran it through a high shelf, I believe. So for the sample, I ran it through a high shelf, or a low cut. Basically, I'm cutting the lows. And I took the high shelf and I pulled that down as well. So we're just trimming the highs, cutting the lows so that we're not getting the bass in this part of the sample. You can combine the filtered bass with that original signal to create a unique vibe. Okay, so the drums here were from, I think the Innovator has some drums. Go look him up. I'm pretty sure I got these from the Innovator. I think I got the kicks from a Just Blaze kit, and the percussion was from the Innovator. So one little small detail is the tom roll. So, okay, most people ask about sound selection. If you listen to this actual track, it has all this stuff in it. Just Blaze had to go find the sounds in his own sound selection and match it to the record. So this little drum fill thing happens throughout the record. So that doo doo doo, that happens throughout the record. I don't know if I could kind of quickly find where that happens.
No, very baby, it'll never stay.
But my point is, all the patterns and the sound selection comes from the actual song itself. Most people add like sounds from all these different sources and they wonder why it doesn't go together. I don't know if I can find it. Hear that? But there was a lot of like little tom rolls here and there. So I'm not gonna be able to find that specific point in here, but that is, hopefully I'm making sense, is that the sounds aren't random. The shaker from the record, or a sound similar to the shaker in the record, you know, he's pulling tom drums that were used from the, like similar to the record. He's using tresillo, which comes from the sample itself. He's using the actual sample for the bass, the actual sample itself. So it's not, when people are gonna add sounds, all I'm trying to say is like, the sounds need to fit the record, and that's the part that is a little bit hard to teach because you guys have to hear different samples, drum breaks, textures. You guys got to just hear more stuff, quite literally. You can't use trap drums on this and assume you're gonna sound like Jay-Z's beat. There's also the small little detail of a rim sample here. So notice the ch-ch-cha, da-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum, ch-ch-cha. Okay, that's a very common pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, ch-ch-cha, da-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum. Okay, that ch-ch-cha. 1, 2, 3, da-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum. 1, 2, 3. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Tresillo. Actually, I don't know if that's tresillo. It'd be more bouncy. Okay, so I think we went over the principles, but that is how to think like a Just Blaze, at least coming into something like this. I don't think there's anything else to show y'all. I think we went over everything. If you guys want to learn how to sample, go to busyworksbeats.com/premium. All right, I'll see you guys on the other side. Just wanted to share some of the tips I learned from recreating this for you guys. Peace.